Welcome to Thematics at Goldman Sachs. I'm Tom Lydon with ETF Trends, and in this series, we're going to dive into actively managed thematic funds and how they fit in client portfolios. Specifically on this episode today, we'll be speaking with Sung Cho, who's Managing Director and Global Head of Technology Investing at Goldman Sachs Asset Management. Sung, great seeing you.
Great seeing you as well, Tom.
So here we are, starting a brand new year. And most advisors have a very high correlation to the S&P 500 for their clients. That's worked pretty well. And actually, a handful of stocks represent almost 25% of that market capitalization, with some pretty good companies from a technology and innovation standpoint. Isn't that enough for the average client?
You know, Tom, for the last 10 or 20 years, most of the innovation in tech has been concentrated in the mega caps and has been concentrated in the US. So it's been the right decision for advisors to have their clients primarily focused in these areas, because that's where we've seen the most exciting returns. But if you kind of fast forward over the next decade, we think that the most compelling returns are likely to be outside of that top mega cap tech companies. It's expanding global, it's expanding down the market cap reason for various reasons. And so we think it's important to have a portfolio that starts to look outward, outside the US. Our GTEK portfolio allocates 50% of our portfolio to non-US companies and down the market cap spectrum. We exclude, as you know, Tom, we exclude any company with over $100 billion in market cap to really shine a spotlight on this next wave of innovation.
Yeah, so basically you're focusing on what are those future FANG stocks going to be? And if you want to participate in their big growth years, this is kind of a way to do it. You mentioned GTEK, GTEK, which is the ticker symbol for that ETF. Talk a little bit more about that, and if we were to dig down a little bit deeper into the portfolio, what might investors expect?
So if you are only invested in mega cap, you're not really getting access to the next wave of innovation in certain areas that we think are going to create a dramatic amount of investor return. So areas like fintech, right? So fintech is an emerging area, really in the first innings of innovation. You know, the amount of venture capital money poured into the space has increased by over 10x over the last 4 years. And that innovation is really starting to come to the public markets now. Areas like cybersecurity, right? Think about how complex threat vectors have gone over the last couple of years, right? And the number of ransomware attacks has increased by 7x over this past year. You're not getting exposure to cybersecurity in your portfolios if you don't invest in this next wave of tech. So, on and on. Yeah.
You're so right. And when you talk about fintech, for example, the word is DeFi going forward. I mean, we heard a lot about that back in 21. You heard about the blockchain and how that's going to really bring fintech to the next level. When you look at the FANG stocks, they don't play a lot in that space, right?
Yeah, so it's not only DeFi, right? It's basically every element of financial services is largely under attack or potential for disruption. And just think about the payment space. It used to largely just be about credit card transactions. Now it's about peer-to-peer payments, business-to-business payments, crypto payments. The amount of different ways that we transact has fundamentally changed. And there are new innovative companies that are coming to market that benefit from each one of these new payment rails.
Yeah, a few things we saw during COVID, online buying went through the roof. Obviously, technology innovation went through the roof. Gaming went through the roof. And now we're hearing about the metaverse. Talk about online entertainment, and is that a part of this as well?
Yeah, it is. So the advent of 5G and as a result, that's catalyzed the universe of kind of AR, VR ecosystem. And, we think we're starting at the early innings of a shift in how entertainment is consumed. And we see a lot of potential in some of the key technologies that will enable this transition.
Have you ever seen a bald guy in a headset before? It's not pretty. It really is.
It works well on you though, Tom.
Yeah,
It works well.
right. So other favorites, if you were to kind of pick one or two companies that you guys are really excited about today, what would they be?
Yeah, so one area is smart components, and when we're talking about smart components, we're talking primarily about semiconductors. And the reason why we're so excited about semiconductors, particularly into next year, is because we think that the amount of content per semiconductor per device is rapidly going higher. particularly if you think about autos, right? We've had Tesla, Rivian, and some of these companies really come public, and that's scaring the traditional OEMs like Ford and GM, and they're really putting a lot of energy around electric vehicles, right? And so we think the electric vehicle adoption curve is going to accelerate as we go into 2022. Never mind the fact that there was a whole bunch of revenues that were lost as a result of the supply chain crisis from this year. So they're going to build a lot of strategic inventory. So we love the auto end market as for the next couple of years, especially companies that are levered to automotive EV. So we have investments in companies like On Semiconductor, in Wolfspeed, in Infineon, who are going to benefit from this rise in EV content.
Sung, it sounds like you're having a lot of fun. Are you enjoying what you're doing?
I am enjoying what we're doing. Obviously, there are going to be periods of volatility, which kind of unnerve investors. But I would remind investors over the last 5 years, tech has returned over 20% a year over the last 5 years. But during those 5 years, we've also seen 10 double-digit corrections. A lot of those corrections really driven by interest rates, and each one of those times it's represented a buying opportunity to really get ahead, get your portfolios positioned for
Yeah,
innovation.
we're talking to advisors all the time, and this is not just for young investors or middle-aged investors. Retirees are living longer and longer, and we know that it's a challenge for the income side of the portfolio. If you're looking for innovation, and here it is again, the Goldman Sachs Future Tech Leaders ETF, G, and here it is again, the Goldman Sachs Future Tech Leaders ETF, GTEK, GTEK. Sung, thanks for being with us. It's been really exciting.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again, Tom. Appreciate it.